Hello everyone, this is Diane and you are looking at my clean studio. Well, it's about as clean as it gets. I still have to do some things. I'm out of breath because I've been up and down the stairs a couple times looking for a battery that actually is charged. Alright, I think I caught my breath. I should have waited a minute. So, you've seen my craft room before, or my studio. But I wanted to show you some of the changes that I've made. I've just spent days going through and trying to rethink things as to what is the best way to use my space and what do I need right next to me, what have I been using just because it worked before and maybe now it's not working. So that's what I've been working on. I did want to show you this space and also the other spaces that I have upstairs where I'm storing Etsy supplies and fabrics and things. But I can only do one room at a time. This took me so long and I really want to get started on a project. So as I get the other areas done, I will do a tour of them too. Because as I clean in here, I'm taking things out of here and just putting them in the other areas. So I just need to go back and organize them. So there's my closet. I'm not going to show you that because nothing changed in there. In fact, I need to do some work in there. As I said, I need to organize some of the drawers and things like that, but it's pretty much to the point where I can make sense of things now. So what I have here you've seen before. It's just a little plastic set of drawers that has my mostly Tim Holtz ephemera in there. I'm going to label all of the drawers. I have to go back and do all the labeling. And crocheted doilies and things in here, so that hasn't changed. Up here hasn't changed. It's just a few things that I collage on, and I haven't even been doing the collaging, but I'm hoping to catch up on some of that soon. There's my Rolodex that I got at the flea market, and I want to use these Rolodex cards for collaging on, and then I'll just have this whole really cool Rolodex full of collaged cards. Nothing has changed. Oh yeah, this was doilies and napkins, but now I have, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, it's still there, but it's not coming out. Okay, so I have more doilies and napkins than will fit in this drawer. So I have the doilies in here and the napkins are somewhere else. And these are just scraps, manila folders and coffee dyed paper scraps and ledger paper scraps that I make ephemera with. In here there is something new. I did have folders of digital printouts in here. And it just was so messy. I would just open the drawer and just stick stuff in here. So now I got these file envelopes. They're very sturdy. There's mesh inside them, but they are plastic. They're supposed to be waterproof, but mine don't need to be waterproof because they're not going to get wet. So I got these from Amazon and I liked them so much I ordered another set. You get 10 in a set. So I used them in here and then I'll show you where else I used them. I will link these in the description. So this is just miscellaneous ephemera. This is Vintage Ladies. And I have circus stuff that I'm collecting for more circus journals. These are florals, fairies. I have owls, Mrs. Coggs. I have woodlands. Trying to remember what the name of that. Oh, Christie Art Designs, and there's something else in there, but you get the idea. So when I find things that go with those themes, I can just put them in those envelopes. And the rest, oh, this is ephemera, digital ephemera, like the Tsunami Rose ephemera. So there's a lot in there, and it didn't fit in that other envelope. So this is Graphic 45, and I just got these. This is Authentique Saucy. So I love that 50s vibe. And then there's a, oh, that's Graphic 45 too, but it's fairy dust or something. And then the rest is some Tyvek, and just pads of paper. Whoops, you can see my sock. I don't have shoes on, but at least I have socks on. So I'm sorry, I'm allergic today, as I am most days, and I'm sniffing. So there's just cardstock and then stamps in the bottom two drawers because they're deeper. In here, you can see my little potpourri that is the wax melt that is making my room smell pretty. And down here are some plastic cases of vintage wallpaper, vintage wrapping paper, whoops, and stationery, vintage stationery. And what's this? Oh, gardening. I didn't know I had that, so I started another one today. Good. I can condense that. All right, that's good. Up here, look at all those 5-ring binders. And I have yet to make a journal out of one. And I really, really want to. This one right here is mine. Look at how faded that is. I got that when I first got married. And I would have had my 40th wedding anniversary in May. So it's old. These are books that I want to take pages out of and use. Here I have some more plastic drawers with ephemera, vintage ephemera. So sewing stuff and some labels, some just all kinds of the small pieces of vintage ephemera. This has some mailing labels and some store labels, things like that. This is stuck on an airmail label. These are the ones I just got at the flea market today. Just more miscellaneous cards. This one has some cigarette cards in that were given to me. I've never found any myself, but somebody sent me some. And I don't know, just more vintage ephemera. Up here are my ledger books, my vintage ledgers. Up here are ones that are too big to fit in the drawer. This one here is really wide graph paper that I just got at an estate sale. And then there's just vintage ledger books in these drawers. Some more books that I want to take pages out of. These are pretty much all sewing and fashion books, costume and things like that. Down here I have these drawers, which I used to use for a different purpose, but there's some slides that I got at the flea market that I have to go back and get more because some of you want some. So when I go back to that flea market, which is the one I only go to once a month, I can get some of those. This one has the stickers that I like to buy, the Denison stickers, and these are the lovely things that Pirio, I don't know, I hope I'm saying it halfway decent. Anyway, she sent me them today. I love them. And this is something I found in a bunch of old recipes. I showed that to you, so that's in there. They're gummed labels. Tickets, and tally cards, and milk bottle caps, and orange juice bottle caps. Some more little books here, and some more boxes that have book pages, and they're labeled. So as this is children's. This has foreign language books and shorthand and typing textbooks, specialty illustrated books. I have, I don't know, they're all just classified as what will work for me to understand. Down here are vintage patterns and bingo cards, and mostly children's and songbooks down here. Some of the book covers are gone because I have made journals out of them, but I still use the pages. And then down here, this is an area I do need to organize, but it's my little boxes that I got at back to school time last year. And this has the stuff that I'm making my domestic arts journal with. There's my book cover in there. And this one is for children's book images, magazine, like vintage magazine images. These are digital kits. The other ones were just, you know, cutouts and things, but these are entire kits that I've printed out and haven't made yet. And this is just stuff that I need to put in my own smash book. Right down there in that yellow toolbox is my beading supplies. And here are the things that I just started collecting in a box, things that people have sent me in the mail, in Happy Mail, so that I can do pages for them like Gail does. And these are just some things that I want to make sure I get to keep in my in my junk journals, so that I don't give away and sell everything that I want to keep. Oh, it's hot in here and I had to turn my air off. So up here is my vintage recipe box, that orange thing or the red thing back there. It has my recipe cards in it from that, whatever that club was. And this is just some stuff up there. Scrap cardstock in these drawers. These drawers are pretty much the same as what they were. There's, actually I use this drawer now for my my grandchildren's junk journal stuff. And then the rest is just stamps that are labeled and everything. Here is my wastebasket that has specialty paper and wallpaper in it. It's getting kind of full. My piano rolls are here, the ones that I'm keeping for myself to use. And then this shelf here is junk journal stuff, like magazine, art journaling magazine. That's what I meant, art journaling. So my art journaling magazines and my art journals themselves are here. And then this is junky junk journal stuff. Up here is my CD player. I've been listening to classical music lately. Here is my 12 by 12 solid cardstock, and it's in the hanging file folders in this milk crate. I did reorganize this. This is similar to a Raskog cart, but it came from Michael's. I'm going to sit down here. I am dripping in sweat. So here's where I use some more of those envelopes to really make this a lot neater and safer for my vintage things. Most of the stuff in this cart is vintage. So here's just this phone message book that I just stuck in the front. Just a little page protector with some vintage lined paper in it. A few pieces. This one has greeting cards, note cards, I think. Anyway, one is note cards, one is greeting cards. This is just miscellaneous paper ephemera. Vintage. These are vintage letters and envelopes. More miscellaneous vintage, but it's like larger pieces. And my saver stamps, blue stamps and green stamps and stuff like that. And these are the note cards. And then back here are just some miscellaneous things that are larger. So, excuse me while I use my camera hand to adjust things. And then I use this little metal container here to organize the little game cards and game money and miscellaneous pieces like that. And my miniature playing cards are in here. And then down here, I used, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a metal divided tray in here, and it just exactly fit in here. So this one slot goes this way, and all the rest go that way. So it has flashcards in it. It has my bridge tallies, my game score sheets that are vintage, these transfers, decals that I just got last week. Just some small things. These are my little napkin butterfly wraparounds. And in the back is some little vintage notebooks and ledgers and things, smaller. And then just some miscellaneous small stuff right here. My little receipts, the vintage receipts. I have a couple pads of those. And then down on the bottom is vintage music and vintage magazines and my Spiegel catalog. And this, I think this big fabric and felt envelope has more foreign language stuff. Okay, so over here it hasn't changed much, so I'm not going to spend time over here. I don't think it's changed at all, really. This is the Bible book that I'm working on. I just started doing the cover. I painted the cover with a cream color paint and then rubbed it off with the baby wipe. None of this is glued down. It's just wallpaper scraps and an image from a gorgeous vintage book of Bible stories. So that's what I'm working on. I'm anxious to actually get started on the book, which is what I'm going to do when I'm done with this video. The only thing that's changed, I have to organize over here because this I didn't do anything to this. And up here is pretty much the same. It's just where I store my paper. I did make some changes inside here. Sorry for the noisy traffic. This is where I keep sheets of paper that I use in my junk journals. And it's not all vintage, some of it is, but most of it isn't. I just got these large packs. I'm sorry if this video is terrible. I got these large packs at an estate sale, so they have to go in there because they're big. And then I have the smaller size pages over here and some what are they? Where you punch in and punch out for work. Time cards. Goodness. So I used to have my Big Shot here and my Big Shot platform and dies and all of that right here on this shelf. But I moved them, and that's what you're going to see when I do one of the other rooms. So what I was able to put in here was overflow of fabrics, and these are like the specialty fabrics that I have. Tim Holtz and some of the ones that I bought for to do my vintage fabric, or not vintage, but fabric bundles. So I kept some of those special fabrics in here, my Corey Dantini fabrics that I want to make journals with. I selected these fabrics quite a while ago to make a vintage kitchen journal for myself, and I love these fabrics, and they were not cheap, so I just got, like, I don't know if it was an 1/8 of a yard or a 1/4 of a yard of each, and I still have them there waiting for me to make a journal. So this is all stuff to make domestic arts journals. It's a lot of domestic arts journal supplies here, so it was just piling up on my floor, so I'm really glad to have a place for it. I still have hooks for a few stencils there, but most of my stencils are in these drawers. This has art journaling supplies like media. This is something I just bought on sale, mica powder, which I wanted to try. They had the Finnabair art journaling suppliers, mixed media supplies on sale, and this is Patina Effect Paste, so I can't wait to play with them. Whoops, sorry about that. And here are some more art journaling supplies, my Mod Podge, gesso, and stuff like that. I did organize just a little bit down here. Actually, I think it's pretty well done. There's book covers here that are larger, so these might be smash books. Some of them are smaller. And I did move this set of drawers over here. It's got the napkins in it, and some brads, and some flowers and sticky bling, which I rarely use, so I thought it was okay to put them here. And I got my Tim Holtz, I don't know if it's called tissue paper or collage paper, but I've got that there because I've got tissue paper here. And this drawer is empty because I just took stuff out of it, which I'll show you what I did with it. Here's my chipboard that I use. I've got a few small binders down here that I want to make into journals, and my O-rings for my Bind It All. I had said over here that I didn't make any changes, but I saw that empty drawer, so I remembered that I did. I had seen in a book jars of collections, and I thought it was really cool. So I didn't know what to put in my jars. I had these jars. I didn't know what to put in them, but I've been slowly adding stuff, and then doing this cleanup in my room, I really filled them up because I had a lot of game pieces in that drawer over there. I'm sorry. So this little jar that used to have Recollections flowers is now full of game pieces, vintage game pieces. Look at that wooden one there. I love those. And I just added some more today from a bag of game pieces and spinners that I bought at the flea market. So now that jar is full. I have 2 jars of bingo numbers and markers. I have this jar of bingo markers. These are the plastic ones. And this jar of blue cardboard bingo markers from all the bingo games I've gotten at flea markets. These are the little typewriter keys that I got at the flea market. These are cardboard bingo markers in all different colors. And those 2 jars are Scrabble tiles. So they're there when I want them for journals, but they also look pretty. I even have this little jar where I've started to collect the little bread tags, because I do use them as tabs in my journals. But I think they look pretty in all those colors, so I'll just collect them in the jars. I'm trying to walk slowly. This is where I have my printer. This is right next to the armoire we were in. So my printer is here, and I did nicely organize all of my papers, and I used my label maker to label each shelf of paper so I know which one is super premium, cardstock, premium, and basic. Then I have the colors up here, and over here I have a few colors of parchment paper. I just got those on sale at Staples. Okay, so over here, this is a big change in my room. I used to have like boxes that I turned into trays and decorated with paper and duct tape to hold my ribbons and laces and trims. And let me turn you around. And they used to be right up there on that shelf where those metal drawers are. It used to be right there where those 2 tall long drawers are sticking out. But my collection grew, so most of the time I had those trays sitting on the floor here anyway next to my sewing machine, because this is where I wanted them while I was working on a project, and I'm pretty much always working on a project. So I got this at Michael's when they had their storage half off, and it's beautiful. And I thought, well, I can put my laces and trims in here and my feed sack fabric and maybe some other special things, but nope, it is full of ribbons and trims and laces. So let's start at the top. This is the stuff that Perio just sent me, the dyed laces that she just made. Aren't they gorgeous? I just haven't put them away yet. And the fabric that she sent me. And inside this box is the fabric that I pretty much work with when I'm making a journal. I just thumb through here and pick out what I want. There's just a couple pieces laying on top there. And then in the drawers, and I have labeled them with my label maker, these are mostly ribbons, but other things too. So some of this is vintage wide ribbon. There's some stuff from Hobby Lobby in here, just stuff that, you know, I had to fill every drawer, so I don't use a lot of ribbon, but there is some in there. These are my spools, mostly from Hobby Lobby when they're half price. And this is my go-to drawer pretty much when I'm sewing, trimming to the edge of a journal. This is my braided upholstery trim type of stuff, or what we used to, well, I didn't, but what people used to put on their jeans in the 60s, or 70s, I mean. I just didn't. I was in high school in the 70s. I graduated in 1975, but I don't think. I might have had one pair of jeans with some braid at the bottom, but anyway, that's what this is. And some upholstery type trims that I will turn to when I'm doing domestic arts journals. I've got rickrack, both vintage and new, and bias tape, all kinds of stuff like that in here. This drawer has mostly eyelets, but there are some other things. There's some of the larger spools of ribbon that wouldn't stand up, that wouldn't fit in the other drawer. So this is a lot of eyelet trim in here, plus some of the extra Hobby Lobby spools that don't fit up here yet. I go through these pretty fast, so these will be moving up before too long. And then I've just got this one half price, and I just think it's so cool, those really fuzzy pom-poms. It was $1 because it was half price. This is more lace and trim, and these are larger, wider pieces mostly. This is another one I just got, large rosettes, and this one was $2.50. But it's got some really gorgeous wide laces. Some of these are vintage, and some are not. More lace and trim in here. Smaller cards of it. Again, some are vintage and some are not. This is packed pretty full. And then some more down here. And some of these I just got today. This someone sent me in a swap, and they're smaller pieces, so I didn't put them on a card. But there's some of the vintage lace that I found and some newer stuff. And then in the bottom drawer is pom-poms, both vintage and new. And look at that, I love that one. And these that I just got at Hobby Lobby. This was $2. They're so cool looking. They're tassels. And this is just like a rope fringe. And that was $1.50. So that's what's in there. And then over here next to my sewing machine, I actually hung my bulletin board up. It's just been sitting, leaning against the wall here. But I got a hammer and nails and I hung it up, and I'm going to use it as an inspiration board. I will cut things out of magazines that inspire me and that I want to try, and pin them up there until I try them. And then I'll pin new stuff up there. This stuff you've seen, it's what I go to while I'm sitting here sewing. It's got the solids and muslin fabrics here, more cottons and muslins back there that I can coffee dye. It's just remnants that I get at Walmart when I see them. And then the little snippets and small pieces that I use in my journals are right there. And then here I have my bobbins and my threads. These are the thread spools that I use most often in my junk journals. So they're right in the top where I can just grab them. And then down here I have my tool and my fabric yo-yos, which I got from 2 different Etsy sellers, and then my velvet ribbon pieces that my friend Lee sent me, which I haven't even used yet because I'm saving them for my journals. They are precious. So once I start using them in my journals, then some small pieces might go in other journals. This has my feed sack fabrics, and this has large pieces, wide, large pieces of lace. Mostly vintage. And I think, well, I guess I did make some changes up here. So, this is the same. This is just a toolbox that my husband used to have that I keep my journaling cards in. This hasn't changed much. It's just got a lot of little pieces in it. I took this. It used to have, I don't know, it was like a pantry container, and it had a lid that sealed on it. But I took the lid off it, and I'm now using it for my library pockets and library cards. This is another case of I'd been using the same thing for such a long time that I didn't even think about changing it. And I thought I don't need something that big. So I changed it out for this. And actually, this is for the pockets and for the cards that are written on, and these kind of things that came in old books. The library cards are in a drawer that I'll show you. And then I just stuck these Tim Holtz wallpaper pieces in here because I didn't know where else to put them. Here is a card catalog drawer. If I can get it down with one hand. Oh, that's heavy. And it's got playing cards in it. These are, yeah, these have cards in the boxes. So these are cards that I pull from when I make my journals, and also when I want to put together packs for selling. And then this box here is a drawer from probably a toolbox. It was metal and rusty, and I spray painted it. And it's got postcards and the tabbed index cards, those kinds of things in there. I'm not picking up that heavy thing again with one hand. And then this just has my smaller envelopes. These are the ones I sell in my shop. These are little vellum ones. I sell the little envelopes in my shop too. And these are some that I make. These are ones I make with my Cricut. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that you can see. I'm just watching what I'm doing and not looking at the camera. So anyway, these are smaller envelopes, except for these. These are tall glassine envelopes. I just don't want them getting messed up in the drawer, so they're in the back there. Here's my washi tape, which hasn't changed. These are still where I used to store them. This is just a little box with my small little sacks and tags. I have a variety of tags in different boxes here. And then here is another wooden, this is a sewing machine drawer. This one's smaller. And it has my seam binding, and this seam binding is waiting for me to cut it and put it in my shop. I have this and I have those up there. And in the back is smaller pieces of seam binding and some sari ribbon and the vintage seam binding that comes in packs like that. So that's what's in that drawer. And then here is a little tray of baker's twine, eyelash trim, the fluffy trim, stuff like that. So like I said, I've got more seam binding here. My postage stamps are in here, and embroidery floss and silk ribbon for embroidery is in there. And I think everything down here is pretty much the same as it was, except, oh no, I did get a couple things for down here. I have this to keep my safety pin or paper clips. So right in the top I have the plain office paper clips. I like the metal ones, and I can alcohol ink them different colors. I have my pens and pencils here. I have my colored bulb pins, which are in my shop, and my bronze bulb pins, which are in my shop, and colored safety pins, which there may be one package left in my shop. I guess I'll have to get some more because they sold pretty well. And then some just regular colored and rusty safety pins down there. So they're handy to keep right there. And then I also, to help keep me organized while I'm crafting, while I'm creating a book, I have this to organize papers in, like maybe the cutoffs here, because I used to just pile them to my left, and then they would bury things and they would get buried. And then this, I thought, this was on sale half price at Hobby Lobby, and I thought I could put my signatures in here. Like, I usually work on 2 books at a time, so I can have 3 signatures here and 3 over here. My tall papers back here that I'm using, and smaller things here to keep them, try to keep them organized as I'm working. And then over here, I have the little plastic drawers for the little pieces, like if I want to bring stickers and gift tags and tally cards and things like that over here, they can go in there. This video is getting long, but in here I used to keep my adhesives and some stuff that I didn't even use. So again, this was a case of this isn't working anymore, so I changed it. So all my extra adhesives are right up here, down at the end of the table, where it's not prime real estate, but they're still handy. And this is index cards, Rolodex cards, the library cards, things like that, all in here. Some are copy dyed, some are not, so, and some are colored index cards, and my library cards are in here too. And I organized my tags. I put a little tray in here, and that really helps. Some of these tags are in my shop, the colored ones and the yellow ones, and these pink ones and these red ones are in my shop. But I got larger ones back here, but a lot of my tags are up there. These are more smaller ones in here. Little vellum ones, little jewelry tags, and tickets. There's some tickets in here. The other drawer over there had vintage tickets. This just says cards, so it's just all kinds of cards, including paint chips, things like that. I even put these little spinner cards that I just got in here. So they're just flat cards. They're not the kind that fold. And here are bags, different kinds of bags and pockets. These are envelopes, the larger envelopes, all different kinds. And these are cards and folders, so these are the ones that open and folder type of things. Got my little place cards in there because they fold. So I think that takes care of the changes that I made in this room for the most part. I hope you enjoyed this tour. Oh, I'm sorry, I just was spinning my chair. I hope it wasn't too long for you, and I hope that it helped. Some of you have been asking what I do with all the vintage stuff that I'm always bringing home, and it was kind of overwhelming me. So I have really been working hard on getting things contained and organized so that I know where they are and that I can actually use them. So when I get another area cleaned up and organized, I will show that to you also. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.